All right, welcome everybody to a pixel art interview with Genuine Human, who is an award-winning pixel artist, director, animator. Has created music videos for GUNSHIP, um, Waveshaper, to name a few, and has some of the best cyberpunk and synthwave vibes I've seen in the space. I'm a huge fan. My name's Decryptolorian, also known as DC, and I can't wait to interview. I kind of, it came up on me a little bit. It was quick. I was actually waking up this morning, looked at my Twitter feed, saw that Genuine Human was going to be interviewed today, and I ran over and said, "Hey, can I do this?" So it was very quick for me. So I'm excited. Welcome, Genuine Human, and welcome to the Pixelchain Discord.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. You can call me Jay. Genuine Human is a bit weird. I don't know. It just kind of stuck on Twitter years ago, but yeah, I'm Jay.
Well, welcome, Jay.
Thank you.
So I'm going to put your screen up. And for those of you who haven't yet, please jump into Jay's screen. Awesome. All right. So Jay, tell us about yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually I'm a kids media creator mostly. That is my career. I make cartoons, and I direct, and I write, and I produce. So pixel art is very much a kind of second thing to that. It began just as a hobby, a way to unwind, and really went from there. It just kind of snowballed a bit. Somewhere around 2015, really, it just kind of caught on a little bit. And I got linked to the synthwave scene after making a video for GUNSHIP, and that was cool because I totally love synthwave music. So I've been doing stuff with synthwave artists ever since. But yeah, my main job is actually in kids media. I started as an animator many years ago, back in the pencil and paper days, and went into a whole load of things: storyboarding and designing, and then directing, and from there writing and creating shows. So that's quite a specific thing. And then I guess no artist seems to have just one creative outlet. Everybody has different things that they do. And I started making pixel art just to actually, I was making little stupid cartoons, little funny single panel cartoons. And I started doing them in pixel art because it was quick. And I could, it was quick because I was doing them really basic. They were like really basic. In fact, can I even share screen and show some? Let me have a look. They're really bad.
Yeah, please show us. Yeah, we'd love to see it.
Let me see. I will share. Is that the way to do it? Go live. Let me see. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm just going to skip through, see if I can find one that's actually kind of funny. I did a lot of Batman ones because I don't like Batman. I have this issue with Batman, that his superpower is that he's rich. So yeah, they just be like this, and like Alfred's going out, "Sir, shall I call for a driver?" "No, Alfred, I need to experience Gotham like a regular citizen. I'll call for a driver myself." So I just kind of made these little single panel cartoons. There's just so many of them. Like I made hundreds of these, like this one. I quite like that one. And I did them because they were quick. I was actually doing them on an iPod Touch with my finger, and then they started to get more complex and take longer, and I guess I just got a bit more adventurous with it. And then I don't know when I started, like I was always into cyberpunk stuff. Like this isn't pixel art, but it's got pixel art in it. So I was doing this kind of thing, which kind of mixes, I guess, the kids media stuff, and like this has a pixel art background, but it's mostly not pixel art, and this kind of thing where I was mixing stuff around. But yeah, it just then developed, and I started making some animation. Like I started adding animation to them, and then made some like let's see, like this one. And those, it's really when I got to this point that I guess people started paying attention, and that's actually around the time that Dan from GUNSHIP got in contact, and we were like, dudes, we should do something together.
Oh
And we did.
shoot. Can you sometimes on Discord
Oh,
when you share your screen, you're just sharing the we could see your
oh,
photos.
you're just seeing the original one. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're looking at the hey guys, can I come in?
Okay, let me stop streaming that one. Hopefully I haven't broken anything. And share screen on this one. Can you see that one?
Yes, perfect.
So yeah, I did a bunch of these. This was, I think, 2015. Yes, it was 2015, because that's when we made the Revel video. So yeah, Dan from GUNSHIP got in contact. We followed each other on Twitter, and I think at the start we didn't know what each other did, and they released "Fly for Your Life," which I really like that song, and I was making these at the same time, and we just then at some point just got in contact and decided to make something together, and
Oh man.
yeah, it kind of just went from there. And actually, what had happened was, because those original single panel cartoons that you saw, those must have been, I'd say they were probably about 2008, 2009, maybe. And I had at some point set up a Genuine Human Twitter account, because the idea with those when I started was these were just like stupid things that humans did, and that's why I just called it that. So in 2015, I realized I had this Twitter account that was like mostly kids media stuff. It was like about Sesame Street and why children's media is important, and then cyberpunk gifs. And it's like it didn't match, and so I decided to split off my Twitter account, and I had this Genuine Human Twitter account just sitting there. So I ended up using that one, and that's actually where the name came from. I'll stop streaming that GIF now, but yeah, it just kind of went from there. So pixel art really is like, it's still a hobby to me. I ended up taking on more work, and definitely around like 2017 and 2018, I actually took on quite a lot, and then started doing stuff for clients that like was very much just work. It was just like, pay me and I will make pixel art. And I hit a point where I didn't enjoy it anymore, so I actually just then wound that down very much, because I only wanted to make, like, I do it for the enjoyment of it. And so when I hit a point where I realized I was not enjoying it anymore, I stopped the client work. Like, I have a job, so it's like, why would I don't need to take it on for money. So and there were people at the time like, well, would you not just do it full time? I was like, no, because I actually really like my real job. So now I'm at a point where most of my art is just for myself. It's just, it's my own explorations. Every now and again, I will do stuff for people, but it's only people that I really love. You know what I mean? It's like people, like I do stuff for the midnight. Whenever they call me up looking for a design, I'll work with them at any point. Or yeah, like Waveshaper. We were actually chatting about Waveshaper earlier. So because I love that kind of music, and that's just enjoyment to me to make something to that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's really about the enjoyment for me and the exploration.
Yeah, and I guess you could see that. I mean, I guess that's why I was drawn into your art, because I kind of stumbled across it in my Twitter feed just about 3-4 months ago, and I said, "Holy crap, this is pretty awesome." And that's how I started looking at your stuff, and you could see that there's so much details. I mean, even with the one of the first ones you were showing us there, the lights, the people moving around, everything kind of going hand in hand with the art, and it's just Wow, there's a lot of detail. Um, it's like pixel art to the next level, in my opinion. I mean, I grew up with 8-bit games and Super Nintendo, and I love that kind of stuff. So this for me is like super next level, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you very much. But it's I don't know. I like chipping away at them, and I think that's why I end up putting a lot of details in them. And certainly those, like it totally varies depending on the piece. But a lot of my work has absolutely no planning. It really is like I start in one corner and I just start building it, and I build it up pixel by pixel. And I like that. It's like building Lego to me. It's like knitting. You know, I kind of find it calming. I just do a few pixels at a time, and I just like it's really slow. It's a really inefficient way to make art, and it's funny because like I said, I started doing it because it was fast. Like it's fast when you're just doing something really small and really simple, but it then you hit a point of complexity where it totally goes the other way, and it's just like ridiculously slow. It's one of the most inefficient ways to make art, but I kind of just enjoy that system of it, just the tapping away at it. And I'm not wrestling any software. Like pixel art is very easy. It's very easy to know how to do. Like you don't need to know anything technical. You're just placing stuff down. But yeah, just doing it well then I guess is a different thing, and that takes time. So there aren't a lot of technical hurdles to it. You just get stuck in and do it, and that's one of the things I like about it, I think.
Now you mentioned that you've done some projects with Waveshaper and and those, and again I absolutely love the music. Now when you're making these the pixel art, are you listening to Waveshaper at the same time, and
Oh
does that
yeah.
inspire you?
Oh, totally. And I mean that I do that regardless of whether I'm working for somebody or not. Um, but absolutely, and it has its perks sometimes. Like I would get to listen to, for example, a GUNSHIP album, 8 months before it's released, or like the last Midnight album. I can't remember when I got to listen to that, but it was very early, so I could just kind of get the vibe of it. And that's a nice perk. I enjoy that. But yeah, definitely. And I think music is a huge inspiration. When people talk about inspirations for artwork, I would say like about 90% of my inspiration is in music and not actually in visual arts.
Oh,
Um, and the 10% that is visual probably is largely my childhood. So music, yeah, I hear, and I've heard other people say this too. I hear music and I see scenes. I see things happening, and I feel a vibe, and picture places and picture characters, and yeah, I think that's part of the storytelling. I think that's part of where I guess my day job and my pixel art meet, because my day job is very much about story. It's story for kids, and they're simple, nice stories, but it's all about narrative, and I like that in pixel art as well. I like that you can kind of plant little stories in there. You will find a lot of my work is very busy, but that's partly so that you can kind of just stay there and spot these little stories in it, little things going on in the details. And I guess it's world building. But yeah, I just like the story. But a lot of that is inspired by music and vibes.
yeah, I love that. I definitely get a feeling when I'm listening to Waveshaper and other. You kind of get that awesome cyberpunk feel that I get. You said that in your childhood you like that kind of stuff. And was there any movies or stories that kind of pushed you to like that genre more so than
Well,
others?
yeah, I think when I was a teenager, I was big into cyberpunk when I was a teen. So that was very much the first wave of cyberpunk. And I read a lot of sci-fi and a lot of sci-fi collections, like a lot of short story collections, and they wouldn't be necessarily cyberpunk collections, but there would usually be, probably mid 80s, there would usually be like one or two stories that were very cyberpunk in any sci-fi collection. And those would be the ones that I tap in on. And that was there was like William Gibson back then, and Bruce Sterling, and struggling to think of other names, but there was a lot of cyberpunk back then, and it felt very, I guess it felt very futuristic in the sense that it felt very far away, but it was closer than a lot of the other sci-fi. So if you got a story, a short story collection, I always felt the cyberpunk stories were closer to where we were headed than a lot of the other sci-fi stories, and I think that's partly why I latched onto them. And when I started making cyberpunk work in pixel art, like the big one for me was when I at the end of 2014 I did an image for New Year's Eve, and that was a cyberpunk image, just a still image, but that very much was the 2015 that I thought we'd be living in when I was a kid. If you had asked me at the time, what's 2015 going to be like, I honestly thought it was going to be that. I thought we'd be living in this cyberpunk future. And what's kind of weird is we are. It's just a different one. I think when I go into like shops and see self-service checkouts and stuff like that, like that's very cyberpunk. So we live, and the amount of surveillance. Like I don't know what other cities are like, but Dublin, like there are cameras everywhere. You just look up and you are constantly being watched everywhere. So there's so much of what we live now is cyberpunk. We kind of hit cyberpunk and kind of went past, but in a different way. You just don't have there's just not as much neon, I guess.
I know, we need more neon. That's so true.
But a lot of the worst parts of cyberpunk, like the warnings of cyberpunk, we're living and we embraced it. The Facebook and the amount of data collection. There's just so much going on that cyberpunk, I guess, warned us about, and we just happily walked into it. It's like, yes, I will have this on my phone, and you can track me whenever you want. Instagram, it's fine. So yeah, I guess we've handed a lot of power over to corporations, which I think is very much something cyberpunk was. It saw coming. It saw that happening. So yeah, a lot of my artwork is kind of like, it's the future I thought we'd be living.
Yeah, definitely. And so I guess, when you talk about your love of cyberpunk and your art, was crypto art basically, the next phase? Like, did you just jump into crypto art? Did it take a while for you to get there? I mean, what brought you into doing crypto art?
It took a while. I found it baffling at first. Like, even the whole concept took me a while to get my head around. And it's funny because it's only with hindsight that I realized I was kind of introduced to it a few times and kind of ignored it. It took a while to take hold. It's funny because recently I was talking with Coin Artist, Coin Artist, about a couple of things, and we went to DMs on Twitter, and I noticed that she had messaged me back in 2018 about working on a crypto project, and at the time, like, I had no idea what it was. It was like I didn't have time to engage with it, and I just kind of it just went in and like went out the other side. So it took me a while to really figure it out, and a few art friends were starting to get into it. I've got some very, very good crypto art buddies. I'm sure you know most of them: Signal Noise and Jam Factory, and Griff, who I see is on this call, and Chris Skinner, and we all kind of got into it at the same time. They were getting into it, and I was finding out more. And I remember originally when it was first explained to me, I didn't get it, and it was quite baffling because there's a lot of it is very technical, but what I realized is you don't need to know a lot of the technical stuff. It's like there's simple concepts that are what kind of made sense to me, and very much the analogy of physical art and how physical art is sold, and doing that for digital art. That's when it clicked to me, that you can sell an original, and people can, like, you know, with a real painting, people can still see prints and they can see photographs of it online, but someone attaches value to an original in a way that they don't with those other forms. And I thought that's when it kind of clicked with me. Yeah, it's this weird, it's a weird thing of ownership that we have as humans, and you know, whether right or wrong, we've got it. You know, and
Yeah.
people like to own stuff, and it's it is a weird thing. Like, even, you know, sitting here, I've got some books back there that I know I could find those images online at any point, but I like having the books. I just like
Yeah.
having them, you know? And so I guess that kind of idea is when crypto art clicked with me, was that it is a digital form of ownership that previously wasn't necessarily possible, because you couldn't have ownership over a digital file until it was locked to the blockchain, you know? So that's really when it started to make sense. But it did
Yeah.
take me a while. It did take me a while. And even then, when I first got into it, like, I remember it was the wax community originally who jumped on me on Twitter, and it's like, I had no idea what even they were proposing to me. You know, it was like, there's a lot of very technical things around crypto art that I know exists, but would take a long time to kind of delve into and understand if you weren't there from the beginning. So I guess I've kind of figured out enough to get into it, and there's a few other things that I find interesting, but yeah, it's an area you could get lost in. There's just so much going on, but it's interesting, it's exciting, it's an exciting space.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And interestingly enough, so my wife's an artist, very traditional. She does pencil drawings, color pencil drawings. I think she's very good. Not paid to say that. And you know, and I've been doing Photoshop for years. Self-taught, love Photoshop, love all the apps and stuff. And for me, thinking about how the blockchain was, and I really got into it, learning about blockchain, learning about crypto. I'm a computer guy, that's what I do. And art, for me, the digital art and the concept just made sense 100%. And for her, it took, I guess it's still taking some time to really understand, because I'm always like, man, I'd love to just mint your art and I'd love to sell it online. And she's like, I don't know, I don't really know. So it's interesting to hear the parallels, because you're a traditional artist, but you're also into the space, and like you said, it took you some time to really kind of dive in, and understand it. But you're 100% right. It is that ownership that we love as human beings, for sure, and having that one piece. And I'm standing here staring at your art right now and wishing I owned one. For us, it's like, I want this, and I see that, I feel it, and I feel like the generation after ours is going to hit that just with the ground running, even more so the next the younger generation is like, yeah, I want that.
I agree, and I think, like, it's hard to know where it's going to go, but I think you're right. I think it's going to change how we think of I guess digital assets, because one of the things that I think happened, like, one of the things about crypto art is that it kind of changed my own relationship with my art. I started to think of it differently, and I think what that was we went through this phase of, I guess, like, we went through Napster, where music was free. Everyone could have music. You could just get it. You could get it immediately. And then into kind of subscription services where we really pay very little. I think, for a lot of art, and I'm talking music and visual arts and everything, we haven't attached much value to it over the last while. Like, a lot of people have no sense of value for it at all. And we can see visual art on Twitter every day for free. The amount of access we have to art is amazing. Like, to think of previous generations, we can access art of all kinds at any point. And I think there comes with that a kind of transience, and almost, I guess, in some form, a lack of respect for it in a way. I don't mean that people just don't respect art, but it's just so easy. And I think what side effect of that is that a lot of artists, and I kind of count myself in this, didn't really value our own art as well, so like we make art and we just put it out there, and that's just how we do it. We just put it out there with no expectation of anything to come back. People make money on client work or stuff like that, but the actual art we make for ourselves is often valueless in terms of our perception. And crypto art changed that for me. And what I realized was, regardless if anyone buys it, nobody has to buy it, but I'm essentially like the first collector of my own art. Like, I make the art and I'm actually making it for me. And regardless of whether anyone else likes it, that in itself gives it a level of value to me. And that was enough to kind of make a difference to, I guess, to appreciate my own art a bit more, rather than this is just a thing I do and then chuck it out on Twitter. It just did change perception, I think.
Yeah, if you could see me right now, I'm shaking my head because it resonates with me 100%. And the thing you said about being your first collector, that really hits home. It is. You're making the art for you, and that's, I think, honestly, that's what makes it fun, right? Because if you're making it for someone else, not as fun. And I used to make websites for people, and the worst website I ever did was try to make it my own, and then they looked at it and said, "I hate this," and I said, "Oh man." I don't want to do this over. I really like it the way it is. And they gave me all the colors they wanted, and I thought they were absolutely horrible, so I didn't put my soul into it. And that's what you can do when you're making your own art for yourself. You can put your soul into it. It's you, right? It's a representation of you. So that's awesome.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And it's different. Yeah, it's cool that you can kind of assign a value to that. I like that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and so I mean, the more we talk, the more I really I'm so glad I did this interview. 'Cause I love hearing your perspective. I think you're spot on, and I liked your art first, but now I really like you as a person as well. Yeah, and so for our viewers, I'd love if you could show some of your art and talk about it a little bit, because I'm looking at it, but I really want them to see it too. And maybe you can explain some of your thought process on some of the pieces. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. What are you looking at? What have you got?
I am on your known origin right now.
My known origin. Okay. Well,
and I'm going to link it for our viewers.
So unknown origin, I've got my visor series on there, or some of them. I've been kind of slow to mint everything. Let me just pull up some stuff here. Visor series. So I'm just gonna, let's see if I can share the screen. Can I share?
Yeah.
It wants to share the individual folders, but can I share just my screen? What is that?
Yes, there's a toggle there where you got applications and screens.
Here we go. Screens. That's easier. Okay, I'm just gonna do this. So hopefully you should just see a folder. Probably. I'm just gonna pull up. Whoop, wrong window. There we go. So that. Can you see that? Just as a test.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So this was a series that I made. I had no idea what I was doing with this. This is actually, that's a running theme with most of my artwork. Is I just start stuff and I have no idea why I'm doing anything. So I had no idea what I was doing with that, but I liked it, so I made more of it. And that is really, that's just such a running theme with my art. I just do stuff and I just try things, and yeah, that one was pretty cool. That's one of my favorites from that series. And I made 6 of those, and then this one actually, which turned out to be a 7th, and I hate having an odd number. so I always had it in my head to come back to this series, and then in 2020, I was tweeting them out again, and probably for the 10th time expressing the wish to get back to it, and it was another pixel artist, Valenberg. He's like, dude, just start it, just do it now, and I did, and so I made new ones. Let me see if I can go to the newer ones. Those are new. So this one was from last year.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah. So this one, what I did when with this was what I wanted to do when I was minting some of these was basically create new versions of them and really polish them up, make some changes. And so there's actually a slightly different version of this unknown origin. It's actually sold. It's sold. I have no idea who bought it. It was an anonymous buyer. But I wanted to do something a little, make it unique for the NFT for known origin. So there is a slightly different version of that. But yeah, it was Valenberg who pushed me back into this series. That's another one. I haven't minted this one. And then this one, oh, there we go. Now it's going to play. This one is still unknown origin. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing, but they've ended up a series of like people in the middle, usually triangles and stuff around. That's like almost as deep as I thought about them.
This is wow. I mean, the detail and the animation and the holograph is just insane. Like I said, this is pixel art to the next level.
So well, thank you, but it's all it's funny. It's kind of very. It's not that it's simple. Like it's hard to make in terms of like time and like it takes ages, but it's actually a very easy process. I make most of these just by drawing them on an iPad on Pixaki I use, and then do the animations kind of separately in each file, and then just composite them in After Effects. So it's actually like that's one of the things I like about pixel art. It's a simple process. That one I quite like as well.
Yeah, that's totally 80 vibe right there.
Yeah,
I love it. It's like I think I had a one of those folders with this similar design. Oh man, that's awesome.
Let me move on to my New Year's images, so you can see those. I don't have the new one in here? No, this is the one I was talking about. So this was the one that I did at the end of 2014, going into 2015, and this is very much how I thought we'd be living in 2015. Let me have a look.
Yes.
So this is a Twitter thread.
Okay, I'm pulling it up.
Okay, cool. So that, if you can get into it, should be a thread. The first one is the 2015 image, and then below should take us to the 20, all the way down through 2020. And you can kind of see the progression. They get a little more complex each time. I'm trying different things, playing with the colors. And some things I like and some things I don't. I guess that's just the way of art. But they get a bit more complex. I always try and do something new each time. I'm just going to stop streaming because that's not working. I always try to act like, I guess, slightly outdo myself in some way each time, and I don't always succeed. But yeah, I don't like to just repeat the same things over and over again. So even when I do a series of images, like even with that visor series, you'd see that each one, I guess, had a slightly different theme, and I was just trying out different things. I'm not one to just keep repeating the same thing because it bores me.
Yeah. You could definitely tell I'm looking at the 2015, 16. I mean, you can tell that there's, like you said, you're using different colors, you're adding more detail. yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, it's that it was the 2019 one that I first realized how long they were starting to take. That one just it was just insane how long that one took me. And so this year for the 2021 image, I started it right at the beginning of November to make sure that I would have it done on time.
Wow. Now, how long does it usually take you to do one of these?
Well, those are my biggest pieces of the year, like by far. Nothing I make in a year is as detailed or time consuming as those New Year's images. So those can take like 80 to 100 hours of work, but it's because I'm really slow and really inefficient. Just like I'm just chipping away at the pixels, you know. So it's yeah, those are my biggest pieces each year, and that can be quite kind of daunting. Like this year, I was looking at my 2020 image and just looking at it, going, God, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I've got something else in me. So I just went for something very different on it this year. The 2020 image was very dark and quite like it had patches of color, but they were very distinct. And so for the 2021 image, I just went nuts with the color, and everything was just color everywhere. I'm just going to close these windows down to see if I have any success at sharing screens for that 2021 image.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Now, do you mint? I'm actually looking. Do you mint your yearly ones, or?
I have not yet. I
Ah,
haven't yet. Let me just see if I can share the screen.
okay.
Can you see that at all, or is it just loading?
Let me give it a shot.
But yeah, I just went nuts with the color on the 2021 image.
There we go. Yeah, this is perfect. We can see it.
Cool.
Yes, I did see this. So I saw your 2020, and I saw your 2021, and yeah, I love the colors in this, and I love the sky. I mean, really everything about this is amazing.
Yeah, the sky was probably one of the hardest things because originally when I planned it, I wanted a very blended sky, which obviously doesn't lend itself very well to pixel art. And I tried that a few different ways, and it just wasn't working. But I always loved drawing space stuff and nebulas and galaxies, and I just thought, well, what if I just approach it the same way and just make it like it's some kind of huge nebula or something? And that gave me a way to separate the colors a little bit. And it doesn't necessarily make a huge amount of sense, but it visually started to come together at that point. But I enjoyed this one because, again, like I don't always know what I'm doing, but I did plan this one quite a bit because I kind of put a lot of pressure on these New Year's images. But what I try not to do is do a lot of fixing afterwards. So when I drew like the buildings and stuff like that, I was really baking in the colors as I went along and hoping that it all came together. So I don't kind of draw and then recolor. I do sometimes when things go horribly wrong, but I prefer not to do that. So I was happy with this one that eventually it hit a point where I realized the colors were actually starting to come together, and there was a bit of tweaking, just because one of the side effects of having so many colors was getting stuff to read. But yeah, mostly it was fun kind of baking in those colors and just starting at one point and building it up and then seeing if it was kind of like a bit of a puzzle in a way. Yeah. So it was fun. It took a long time. Well, it took a long time.
The message here, there's a very clear message to me. So you have calm, you have a smile with the mask off. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm sure the audience is just like in shock and awe how amazing this is. There's so much movement. It's amazing. And in contrast, so I did see your 2021. If you'd show us that,
Yeah,
it's so much different in contrast.
It is, and that was like that when I came to approach. I'm just trying to find it here. When I came to approach the 2021 image, that was a very deliberate shift because I don't think that's going to show unless I stop streaming and stream it again. So hopefully in a minute you should see the 2020 image.
Yes.
And it's very dark, and I had the world on fire. I didn't know what 2020 was going to be like. It wasn't my fault. I didn't know that it was going to be that bad. So this was a very dark image. And the world was on fire, and I just made a really conscious choice that I wanted much more optimistic vibes for the 2021 image. I did not want to do something and then hit the end of 2021 and go, oh, that was a shit year and I saw it coming. It's like I'd rather go into the year feeling more optimistic about what we might be like later in the year,
Wow. So I got to get this straight. So you make these yearly pieces of art at the beginning of the year.
Well, no, they're made kind of at the end. So like this. Yes, this was made at the end of 2019. So
gotcha.
I launched them on New Year's Eve of the kind of the year before, if that makes sense. So this launched on New Year's Eve 2019.
So you had no idea 2020 was like, this is a perfect representation of 2020.
Well, except people are too close together. That's
they are.
Yeah.
This is like February.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be that bad. So yeah, my 2021 picture deliberately goes against that, and I just wanted positive vibes. I wanted to reflect the hope for a better year, I guess.
Wow. It's so cool. Like, this is just really cool. I'm amazed. It's kind of taking the words away from me, because when I saw this, I only saw this like a month ago, or a month and a half, and I saw this and I said, okay, this definitely represents 2020. So I actually thought that you had made this right at the end of 2020, but
right, okay, yeah, no, wow. This was at the end of 2019.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy, and so I love that you went with the positive vibes for 2021. Now I'm actually curious to see, because we saw the smaller version of 2019. Can we just look at 2019 real quick?
Sure, yeah. 2019 is kind of a more let me see, share your screen. It's a kind of nicer vibe. It's pretty nice.
That's right. Okay, I have seen this actually. So so you had a different vibe. Totally. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I kind of like, I want to do something different each year, and just not feel like I'm like, I want them all to fit, and so they follow a kind of similar construction, and everything is kind of done to the same scale each year, so that they fit as a series. But yeah, I really want to do something different each time and not repeat the same methods. And even it's funny, because I only noticed when I made a process video of my 2021 image just from various saved files, because I save so many different versions just in case like a file corrupts or anything. So I output a video just from those different versions, and I went back to a process GIF I had made from this 2019 image, and it was funny seeing that even my entire process was completely different. So with the 2019 image, I kind of constructed, I did a pass on the entire image of everything. So I did like the line work for the entire image. Then I did flat colors for the entire image. And then I did a level of shading for the entire image. Whereas in the 2021 image, I really did like start at one part. Like I had the whole thing plotted out, but in terms of the drawing, I started at one part and completed it and moved on to the next part, completed it and moved on. Like, so it's funny how the two processes were just completely different.
Wow.
But yeah, that's just because I don't have, like, a couple of people have asked me about like making tutorial videos and stuff, but my methods aren't consistent enough almost. You know, I don't have a lot to teach people, because quite a lot of times I'm really trying to figure out each image from scratch. It's almost like I'm that guy from Memento, and when I start a piece of art, I have totally forgotten how I make art, and I have to relearn it each time.
Yeah, that resonates with me 100%, because I'm the same way. I start doing something, and then a couple hours later, I don't even know what I began with, and I think that makes the best art, in my opinion. It's like you're doing the creative process in the moment.
Well, it definitely keeps it interesting, and that's largely why I do it, and it's funny because there's a few artists out there that are just incredibly consistent. They get good at one thing, and they're amazing at it because they kind of keep doing it. They keep doing it, and they get better, and they refine it, and they refine it. And sometimes I'm envious of that. Like, I kind of look at it and go, yeah, they're getting really good because they keep doing that one thing. But then I wouldn't have the patience for it. I kind of need to explore something different each time.
Well, I can say that they're probably looking at your art going, how could I get that good?
I don't know. I know, but I end up, the side effect of that is I end up with a bunch of stuff that I guess you would call off-brand. It's like, here's a weird thing I make for no reason, and just put it out there. But that's part of the fun. I like, and that's also, I guess that's the other thing of hitting this realization, which really actually was in 2019, that I preferred my art to be, I guess, more of a hobby than a job, was that it then suddenly took the pressure away to have to deliver certain types of things, because it's just for me. I'm not building a brand, I'm just creating art. And so that there's something very liberating about that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, and it just allows you to just create and be creative and not have to follow guidelines or try to appease a certain audience, and it just allows you to find people that love your stuff, like me, who's just searching Twitter, and all of a sudden there it is, and you're gonna get a follow from me and a retweet, like everything you do. So I mean, that's what it is. You're not, I love that. I love that you're not just trying to conform to whatever is popular. You're just trying to do you, and that's, you'll find the people that love your stuff. I mean, you found someone like me who's just randomly looking around. So I mean, it's like it happens naturally, and I think that's the best, honestly.
Yeah, I've kind of come to really, I guess it's a weird thing with social media, and I don't think it's necessarily healthy, but we have this system of like likes and retweets and whatever that very much put a number on your artwork.
Yeah.
And you see some artists and they have a very high number, and then you look at your art and sometimes it doesn't. And I do remember early on that would bother me, and I had to kind of remind myself, firstly, that I have this other career which I'm doing very well in, but
Yeah.
because I'm looking at comparing myself to like these people who do this every day. But the other thing was that I realized that with pixel art, and I make largely kind of cyberpunk pixel art stuff, that's very much a niche within a niche, and not everyone is going to like it. Not everyone's going to get it. For a lot of people, it's just not their thing. They it's just not. But there are people who adore it, and there are people who are incredibly passionate about it, and that, I think, that means a huge amount. I think at times it's not so much about the large numbers and whether everyone likes it, but it's the passion of the few, I guess, that counts for a lot sometimes. And it is nice to have that feedback. It'd be great not to, for that not to matter at all. But it is nice. It's nice when you get a nice comment on Twitter. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But it's great when people find your art who are passionate about it. And pixel art actually is one of the things I love about pixel art, but I've also now found it in the crypto art community, is it's a very warm, supportive community. People look for other people, like other like-minded people and people making cool art, and there's a lot of support in that community, and I think it really counts for a lot. But I found the same in crypto art, and very quickly started making connections. It was very quick to make connections because everybody's kind of looking out for each other and looking to see what everyone else is doing and kind of curious, and there's a lot of support there. It's cool.
Yeah, I agree. It is a fantastic space. I found that it's something I look forward to. I like I said, I was probably, it's 5 a.m. here, and I was going on Twitter looking around, and I saw that your interview is coming up. So, I mean, that's what I do when I wake up. I jump on, I look at Discord, I look at Twitter, I try to see what's up and coming, and I'm excited. It's especially when you're locked up at a house for most of your days here. This past year, this year.
Yeah.
It's nice, and the community's nice, so it's kind of like a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. It really is. It's true.
So I wanted to ask, what is your favorite piece that, if you had to pick one, Desert Island, what would be your favorite piece that you've done over the years?
Oh man, that is a hard question.
Yeah.
Let me think. Oh man, it might actually be my New Year's 2017 image, which is funny because it's not as ambitious as some of the others. I'm going to share screen. This is the 2017 image. So this was done at the end of 2016, and I'm guessing at that point Trump must have been voted in, and so that probably affected where this came from. There was definitely, I think 2016, there was definitely a little bit of a fascist-y vibe coming in that I did not like. So yeah, there's kind of a spirit of resistance in this one. I don't know, is it sharing there? Can you see it?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, I like this one. I also, actually, because you were talking about music and do I listen to music, I can't remember what track I was listening to at the time, but this is done to some synthwave track, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was, but you'll see just under the 2017, like there's those bars, and they go to a beat. I think it might be a Perturbator track. I can't remember, but I was listening to an album like over and over again when I was making this piece.
Wow, this is actually I love that. Yeah, I love that you can see the music. Wow.
Yeah, and even like this, I'm just noticing the beams in the back that like hit at a certain point. There's these kind of red beams. But yeah, it was done to music. But yeah, I think that I don't know, might be one of my favorite pieces. There's something about the colors, but it's even like I don't know how I approached it, and this is one of the things that I don't have this regular system. So there's things I did in this image that I probably haven't done since, in terms of how I approached it. And that is one of the nice things about going back and looking at old images, is that sometimes I'll spot something and it's like oh, that's an interesting way of doing it, and it's almost like I'm looking at somebody else's art. It's like somebody else made it. I sometimes steal things from myself. I'll see something and go, "Oh, that's an interesting idea. I'm going to steal that," but it was me.
That's funny.
But it's because I just try things and then forget that I've done it. I just move on then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have. There's always so much going on. Looking back, you have a guy spray painting. You have people hanging out, on a car. You have fires going. There's so much going on.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, I always hit a point with these where I worry that they're too busy. Every year it's the same. I kind of hit this point of like, no, I've got to pull back now. I've put too much into it. I'm gonna start stripping it out. But I guess I always eventually come back and appreciate the amount of stuff to look at.
Yeah, no, I don't. If you want my opinion, I don't think it's too busy at all. I think it's actually the more detail, the more things going on, just makes you sit and if I had, one of these days I'll probably get one, but if I had a one of those digital frames that are coming out, I would love to have this on the frame. And maybe it's even a tradition for some people, if you ever decide to mint these, every year to have one of these sitting on a frame, just going on, and people come over and say, oh, if we ever get to that point again, wow, they would just like, this would be the most talked about thing in my house if I had it up on a screen. No kidding, no joke.
Cool. Yeah, I some of those digital frames are actually getting really good.
Yeah.
Because it's always been a thing of like, how can I display this? It's not like I have prints of my art quite often, but it's not the same thing when they're not moving. So some of the digital stuff is getting really good now.
Yeah, and it's almost, this is to me, this is crypto art. Like, this is 100% crypto art. When I think of crypto art, this is what I think of. I think of things moving. I think of so many things going on. I think of the statements they make, the cyberpunk feel. Everything's here that I would want in a crypto art piece.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well, I guess crypto art by its nature has this cyberpunk feel to it, doesn't it?
It does. Like, crypto in general, it feels like the future to me.
Yeah, it does. And there's this kind of streak of anarchy that feels like it was at the heart of it. And that's going to be interesting to watch as it grows, because there is this, I feel like there's this paradox of wanting crypto to be kind of mainstream, but then not wanting the shackles that comes from being mainstream. It's like this.
Yeah.
You don't get one without the other.
That's exactly how I feel about it. We're on that cusp of it being mainstream and having everybody want it to be, and then we're gonna lose that decentralization that it's all about.
Yeah, you'll have to. Once it becomes a part of society, that will get lost. It's going to be interesting to watch, because, yeah, like I say, I just think there's this real conflict at the heart of it now. But it's definitely interesting. It's and I have this. I've always had this feeling, and I guess it goes back to reading those stories when I was younger, that we will hit a point where we're living pretty much digitally, that we're living inside systems. It just feels like that's a matter of time. So each one of these little steps feels like it's taken us closer in a way. It's a journey in that direction.
We're about to become Ghost in the Shell here.
Yeah, totally. Eventually, yeah.
Oh, man.
If we're not already there.
True.
Every now and again, I do get that kind of, are we in a simulation thing?
Yeah.
Like, even down to things like, one of the things, I don't know, I have this thing where I get really sad when I see old dogs. They just make me sad because they're old. and it's not fair that they're old. But I look at them and I go, isn't it weird that like their bodies degenerate so early compared to ours, and how that's kind of built into the DNA? And I'm like, who would build in a lifespan into it? And then I'm thinking like, well, we kind of build lifespans into products now to make sure that people then buy them again. It's like, maybe that's where that started. Maybe that's where death came from, as people were building in lifespans. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think about that too much, but yeah, old dogs make me sad. That's a whole other thing. That's not related to crypto art at all.
No. Yeah, you know, that's I get the same kind of vibe when I start getting crazy into coding. I start thinking about DNA and how you know, it is just one big code, and then you can easily go down that rabbit hole of the feelings that that this whole thing is a little rigged.
Yeah. And if you look at what we've managed to do digitally from like the 1970s to now, and in that time frame, like that we can create whole other worlds, and we can create like AI to a certain point, and visuals like that are just amazing. And you know, that's just in a few decades. And so it's not out of the bounds of reality that you apply a couple of 100 years to that and then be able to create something as complex as this. You know, it's like there's nothing there to say we couldn't. So and if it's the case, then maybe it's already happened. I don't know.
Jeez.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I love it. So we're actually reaching on our hour, a little bit over, in fact. Do you want to show us anything new, or just give everyone maybe one last sneak peek of what you're working on?
Let's see. What am I working on?
And everyone loves your room, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me see. I've actually got very little that I'm working on at the moment, but I will show you a cool thing. This image. I'm going to show this first because this image is an older image. You've probably seen this before, or some of you will have seen this before. So I did this beach image quite a while ago. I don't know if you can see that yet, but
yes,
I did a day version and a night version. Let me see if it's going to show the night version. No, I'm going to have to share it again. Let me share it again to get the night version. So I did this day version and this night version of the same place. And so I was looking at some of my older stuff and thinking, well, can I mint some of this stuff? And then somebody suggested, well, you know, if you're going to mint these two, you should try and put them together in a single NFT so that it displays as daytime when it's daytime and displays at nighttime like when it's night. And I just thought that's very cool. So at the moment, hang on a second, what are you doing? At the moment, I am doing adding, share your screen again, different versions for different seasons. So what I'm hoping to create here is an NFT that shows the same shot, the same beach, but displays differently depending on the time of year and the time of day.
Ooh.
So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
I love that.
Yeah, and it should tie into where the user is, you know, so if it's nighttime where they are, they see the nighttime version.
Okay. Yeah, it's programmable art. I love it.
That's it. Yeah. So that's something that's kind of exciting to me. And this again, you know, this is what I love about it compared to, say, physical art. Not that there's anything wrong with physical art. Physical art's great, but like when you think that you can do this kind of stuff, you know, it is that programmable angle that adds something very exciting to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be amazing. I am very looking forward to this happening.
Cool. No, nobody has seen this version before. You haven't seen this. Nobody's seen this winter version.
You guys are very lucky right now.
So that's what I'm working on at the moment, along with a few other things. My job takes up a huge amount of time. So I don't get as much art time as I'd like, but yeah, I'm always chipping away at stuff. I'm always creating.
I just it's just amazing. Before we go, I did want to ask you what you use to actually make this art, because you can see the layering and the animation, and I know you said After Effects for a few things, but
Yeah.
how do you actually make the pixel art?
I will show you very quickly. I'm just going to shut that down. Actually, so most of the drawing is done on my iPad. So this actually here is the, it's a bit shiny. This is Pixaki. Can I get it so that it's not shiny? There we go. So I draw on the iPad, and let me pull up the layers. Everything is just kind of put on a billion layers. They're probably named horribly, if named at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, layer 1, layer 3, layer 21, icy. And what I do with that is I do the animation in separate little files. So that's, can I get that to play at all? Look, I don't know, it might be hard to see, but there's some animation there. So that's drawn in Pixaki, and then I export everything and put it together in After Effects. Let me just have a look.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. This is making sense to me.
Actually, hold on a sec. I'm going to share my screen. And so this is actually the file for the 2021 image. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so this has a stupid amount of layers in it. I'm going to scroll through here.
Oh, wow.
Crazy amount of layers.
Whoa.
Too many layers, because there's just a lot of animation in there.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
So
wow.
I put them in there and really just layer them up, and every now and again, like there are some effects on this, like the kind of reflections here. I just flipped some of the parts, but I tend to do as much as possible just through the drawing. Like even those colors, I'd never find the layers, but those colors are very much just drawn in Pixaki, and then layered over the top here. But yeah, I put them together through then in After Effects.
Wow, this is insane. So everyone watching, if you've ever used After Effects, I started dabbling in it this past year for the first time, and yeah. So look at all those. Oh my! Like I usually have like 10 maybe. If that, and looking at that, this is a lot of work. This is a lot of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that that's probably needless. Like I've just noticed here, I've got three of these necklace light frames which are animated, just 13 frames, but it's just this little light that spins around.
Right.
I don't think anyone has ever noticed that. You know, it's just one of those things that I just put in eventually, and so many of these layers are things that I don't think anyone ever spots, but they're there. But that's the process. It's actually quite easy. I just draw in Pixaki, then export and open it up in After Effects, and then just layer everything together.
Wow. This is so impressive. I can't even tell you. It's, and like I said, this goes back to what I was saying. If I had a digital frame and it was in my house, this would be the piece of art that everyone looked at and talked about for the entire year. I mean, that this would be it.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm a little, yeah. It is like, this is super eye-opening for me as kind of a guy dabbling in art. But wow, this is masterclass for sure.
Oh, I don't know about that. Like I said, the process is simple. It's just slow. It's just getting through it eventually. You know, there's actually technically there's no barriers to it technically. You know, it really is just, it's just the time. It just takes, it's a slow process. Yeah. But I like that. You know, I like I've done, you know, I've done some other stuff like a little bit of 3D and stuff like that. But I often find I'm wrestling software, and I kind of like just like having a more direct route, that I think an idea and I can do it, and I don't necessarily want to wrestle software. So most of the stuff I make technically is really, really simple. There's hardly ever anything fancy going on.
Well, this to me is very fancy. And I will say that simply you put things together in a very intricate way. Even though you say that you're doing simple pieces and you're playing with Legos and putting them together, but the way you put them together is really intricate and masterful, and I think that's what makes the art so interesting, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's cool.
Yeah, and I am being genuine as a human.
Very good.
Well, I think yeah, we went a little bit over, but I'm happy we did. Do you have any final thoughts for the crew here?
No, I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to be in the space. I think it's really cool. I mean, it's baffling at times, but it's fun, and it's ever changing. Yeah, and like I've only been in it a few months, but so much already has happened. So it's very interesting to watch. I just think it's really, really exciting to see what's happening. It's cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm sure everyone else agrees. This has been a fantastic interview. I can't wait to edit it and throw it on YouTube for the world to see. And again, thanks so much for coming. And if anyone has not followed Jay on his social media or websites, please do. I'll post it in the stream chat. And yeah, we can't wait to see what's next for you.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much, DC. It's been really, really cool. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that I got to do this interview, honestly.
Sweet.
All right, everybody. Well, take care.
Cool. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for coming along.